Bună seara! Mulțumesc frumos că ați venit în număr atât de mare. Sunteți extraordinari. Nu mă așteptam să fie atât de multă lume. Bine ați venit la X-Fest, Festivalul Internațional de Teatru Tânăr Excelsior. Scrie și pe panoul ăsta. Și mă bucur din suflet că unul dintre evenimentele majore ale acestui festival este această întâlnire cu Thomas Ostermeier, cel mai important regizor de teatru pe plan mondial în ultimii 20 de ani cel puțin. Spectacolul lui Istoria Violenței s-a jucat aseară la Teatrul Național în cadrul X-Fest și în seara asta se va juca. Sper că unii dintre voi l-ați văzut, cei care nu l-ați văzut poate reușiți să-l vedeți în seara asta și poate mai important este că acum avem ocazia să purtăm o discuție cu el și să aflăm despre cum vede el teatru, cum vede o personalitate marcantă a Teatrului Internațional Teatru în 2023, ce sfaturi le dă studenților, ce sfaturi le dă tinerilor actori, tinerilor regizori și fără prea multe alte adăugiri, aș vrea să-l invit în scenă pe Thomas Ostermeier.
Right. I can talk like this.
Hello.
Hi. The dialogue will be in English from now on, and hopefully we will have a nice talk. The talk is planned to be an hour, but I hope Thomas will understand if you have a lot of questions that can't be covered in an hour. I want to start by thanking Thomas for being here. He was very kind and gentle and delighted to be here at Bucharest and to have this talk. His productions have always been enthusiastically received in Bucharest by the Romanian public, and despite the fact that he's a big star of international theater, he's a really cool guy. Microphone, please. Yes. This my best thinking what's in
I think it's working now.
Doi.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hello. First of all, I would like to ask you, what is A History of Violence about? And what was your experience viewing the show alongside Romanian audience?
Hello everybody. I'm quite overwhelmed with this response and all these people, which I cannot see. Okay. Also,
Can you turn on the lights? Luminile pe sală. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe we can keep it like this.
Okay, keep it like this. Da, lasă așa.
Thank you. So I can spot everybody falling asleep. To me, it's a bit of an awkward situation because all these people sitting here and everybody, as if I have something to say. I have nothing to say. There's also people upstairs. Oh, wow. Hello. I have nothing to say in the sense of I can't give you any answer, or I can't. I see a lot of young people, and I suppose a lot of you are working or try to work in the theater, no? Yeah? Yes. I can't help you. I feel a big pressure here, I feel the pressure of, okay, now he has to tell us how we can make it. I can't tell you. I'm really sorry. I'm happy that you are interested in my work and interested in what we are going to talk about. But this guy is the future, no? This is the future. You have to ask him. You have to ask Vlad, not me. I'm only supporting the next generation. What I was always hoping for, my older generation does. But there's a strange thing in German theater that my parental generation kind of cut every connection to their parental generation, which was obvious and needed because they were all participating in fascism, more or less. And I think about this, they forgot to support the younger generation. So this is one of my biggest passions at the moment. And that's why I'm so enthusiastic about this festival, because it's done by Vlad, who looks like a 21-year-old. And he's 1 year older, no? And so, yeah, this is so amazing that that you have this new festival, that you're doing this, Vlad. And I want to do everything to support you and your festival. And I'm especially happy that we brought this show because Edouard is a close friend and he sends his love. And he is amazed and very happy about the response. He even got messages from people he never knew before, from Romania, telling him how amazing they thought it was. And Edouard is also another generation than me. He just turned 30. So this is, in my view, also supporting the next generation. And especially this play is important because it's about racism, it's about homophobia, and it's about class. And these are issues which we are dealing with today, unfortunately, more than a few years ago. And this is a disaster. And for me, this show is also trying to give an empowerment to the gay community everywhere where we're going, to the queer community. And so I think this is a very good choice you made, inviting this. And what was the question?
So, how was the experience of watching the show alongside the Romanian audience, who received it so enthusiastically?
I'm always suffering when I'm watching my own shows. So I was suffering a lot. I hope nobody saw me watching the show. I made sure I was in the last row, but some people were sitting next to me. And I went in the last 10 minutes of the show, 15 minutes, I was sitting there. So I thought there were some unnecessary pauses. And so this was the experience I had watching the show with Romanian audience. I was, of course, overwhelmed by the fact that there are so many people coming to the show and so many young people coming to the show. And I had a little bit, now I'm making a bit advertising for another theater in Berlin. I had a little bit of a Volksbühne moment. Don't know who knows the Volksbühne here, but the Volksbühne is in the middle of Berlin. It's a Rosa-Luxemburg-Platz, very important theater, run by Frank Castorf for 22 years, or 25 it was. And the amazing thing about this theater was always the architecture of the place, this very big monumental architecture, and even a little bit of a totalitarian feeling, even though it wasn't built in totalitarian times, but it has this feeling. And National Theatre of Bucharest has also this feeling. I don't know why, you tell me where it comes from. I think it was built in 72. And this architecture filled with young people and giving a completely different vibe to the place makes me very happy. And so I was incredibly happy before the show, seeing all the spectators. And then, of course, it was incredibly moving that everybody was standing in the end, and it was wonderful and very touching moment, and thank you for this. And everybody who goes to see the show tonight, I'm expecting from you that you do the same. No, kidding. You can leave even. There were 2 people were leaving during the show.
In the first part of your career, you studied acting. How was the switch from acting to directing, and what made you try to become a director? And was it a hard choice, or was it a choice made by the situation you were in? You were playing or not playing as an actor, or what was the?
It's very simple, the answer to this. I'm too tall. I'm too tall. Look, if I have, how can I?
They have to have some comparison, so.
And if we do a laugh scene, you know,
it could be a comical couple.
It always.
Yes, always.
So every time I was on stage, it was funny, and I could never do a romantic love scene, which I definitely wanted to do. And I was never casted in this. I was always the funny guy. I was even more slim before, and I was like looking like Karl Valentin. I don't know if you know this German comedian, very funny Bavarian comedian. Had a huge influence on Bertolt Brecht. So anyway, this was the most important reason. Second reason was at a certain moment, I could not imagine myself being in any shitty show with bad costumes, bad music, and bad set design. And I was like, oh, this is what they do. I don't want to be part of it.
But did you work as an actor?
Yes, even at the Berliner Ensemble.
So you had a start of a career.
If you can say, yeah. I had a great career. No, I can't. Because this is the afternoon of anecdotes, I suppose. Because I can't provide you with any lecture, I will just tell some anecdotes. So, do you all know Heiner Müller, the writer? So Heiner Müller, at the time when I started as an actor at the Berliner Ensemble, he was the artistic director of the Berliner Ensemble, and then we had a run before the premiere, and he saw the run, like intendant and artistic director needs to do, and then he was making signs in the canteen to Manfred Krage, who was the director of the show, and this tall guy, it was a Brecht show, I have to say, it was a Brecht show. So he said, where does he come from? East Germany or West Germany? And then Manfred Krage said, well, he is from West Germany. Ah, that's why he doesn't know how to play Brecht. And that was, for me, a big insult, because I'm from Bavaria, like Bertolt Brecht, and of course, I do believe that I understand much better Bertolt Brecht than any Prussian guy from the north, or from, like in his case, from Saxony. They don't have no idea. They don't understand Brecht, because Brecht is first and foremost funny. That's why I was playing it funny, which he didn't understand. Anyway, so yeah, that was the beginning and the end of my career as an actor.
So, did you ever think about leaving the theater altogether, or you were set on becoming a director and do a show that has good costumes, good set design, and good actors?
Well, it all happened by accident, because my only dream was and still is to be a musician. And this is why I came to Berlin. And when I came to Berlin, I was playing in different bands, several bands.
What instrument?
Sorry?
What instrument?
I was playing the bass guitar and singing more shouting than singing, but yeah, I was a shouter. Yeah, I was in one of the bands was a hardcore band, and they had the strange name Weltpinguintag, which was a ridiculous name, but great music. And then in this band, I was only shouting and not playing the bass guitar, but there were other bands, and then I found out that every second guy in Berlin wants to become a musician. That days. Now everybody wants to be a performance artist in Berlin, but at that time everybody wanted to be a musician. And so I had incredible competition and incredible concurrence and great musicians around me and all my friends. And there was a big difference between me and them. The difference was they were practicing at home. So they were great instrumentalists, and I was only wanting to be center of attraction and shouting and
So that's why you became a director.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't. There was no concurrence in directing, and
Still isn't, probably, no?
No, there is no concurrence in directing. In the music, there's an incredible world of incredible talents, and I'm always full of admiration for everybody, but also full of sadness because I didn't make it. But still, today I'm always surrounded by musicians, and they are the real ones. Because another fact was that I earned a living with making theater, which was I didn't understand it. That people paid me for doing what is my passion, because before doing my passion as a musician, they didn't pay you. You know, when you were performing in a bar, in a little club, at the end of the evening, and it was about the box office, you know, and then you had to share the box office. There were 5 people in the band, and there were, 100 marks, and then you shared, and everybody got 20 mark, you know. And
you regard yourself as a working class person, no?
No,
starting
yes,
from a
but
working
where's
class
the
background.
connection?
The connection is that you discussed about making a living, and the fact that making a living by doing your passion contradicts probably the upbringing you had.
Yeah, there was no support by my family, so I also I did any shitty job. I did so many shitty jobs. When I was a musician, like everything, and so you had, for example, I was working at a filling station, but only the whole night. You know, my shift started at 10 o'clock in the evening and stopped 6 o'clock in the morning. So then you had to recover from this, and then you went back a few days later when you recovered. And so there wasn't a lot of time left for doing what you're passionate about, and but you all know this. It's a reality for everybody starting off in the art business, art industry, art world. This is true for everybody, and this is a constant struggle. How do you bring these two things together, working in the arts and doing shitty jobs to make a living? This is quite a challenge. Yeah, and the one thing I wanted to add about the actor, being an actor, when I was studying directing, which also was by accident, because I had a friend, and she is now also having a great career in Germany, Claudia Bauer. And we grew up together in a tiny little town in Bavaria. And we had a theater group together. And she also started first as an actress, and then she did study directing. And so I met her and said, well, what are you doing? And yeah, I started this University of the Arts of Theater, and I'm taking the department of director. This is not possible. You cannot study directing. I never heard of studying directing. For me, director always was people over 55 who had read a lot of books and was sitting with a beard or with a pipe and watching the actors working. That was my image of a director. So I did not know that you can study it. And she told me and said, "Oh, when you are becoming a director, I can also become a director." So I also applied, and they took me, and it was like I was always, and I'm still feeling like pretending to be somebody who I'm not. I'm still feeling like I pretend to be a director, but someday somebody will come and say, "Okay, Thomas, now it's over the game, huh? Huh? You made believe everybody you're a director. You're not. It's a joke." Yeah, that was how it all started, and then all of a sudden I had this incredible success, and
The success came immediately after you finished the academy.
Oh, it came before.
It came before,
the
yeah?
Academy. Yes, yes. The first show I did was in a squatted house in Ackerstraße in Berlin, in the backyard. It's called Schokoladen. It's still an important place for independent culture. And I did drumming in the night, and that was 2 years after I started the academy. And we did it in the summer with no money and with acting students, and they agreed to work during the summer. And that show had quite an impact. And even Frank Kastorf, who I was talking about before, at least he announced himself every night to come. He never showed up, but every night we were like, "Oh, he's coming tonight, he's coming." No, he's not there. So this was first, and then the second show I did after 3 years was Neznakomka by Alexander Blok, a Russian writer. And with this show, we toured in France. And I didn't have even my diploma. And should I really go on? It feels a little bit like showing off.
Maybe
this part of my
maybe you can talk
biography.
about what was your main interest. What did you think you had to say in that time, and if it changed over time, and how do you see the theater?
The only thing what I knew was I didn't want to be bored in the theater. And because I was, as a musician, concerned with rhythm, every time I went to the theater, every time I thought, this show has a problem with rhythm. Because there is no rhythm. It's too, like, they were walking like this on the stage. The actors, they were walking like this. They didn't even lift their feet, you know. And then there were looks like as if there was something important happening, but nothing was happening. and then there was big sigh. And it was a nightmare. I hated it, and I still hate it. I still hate to. Oh no, I'm going to say it. I still hate to be part of this art.
Why do you say that?
I don't want to be part of this art.
This art, the world of this art?
The world of theater, I don't want to be part. I want to be part of rock and roll, of fine arts, fashion, techno music. This is something which is fancy. Theater is not fancy at all. It's a nightmare. It's an old school thing for old people. But I'm not kidding. This is the worst thing. I really have difficulties. I mean, here amongst you, you are an exception to the rule, of course. I'm happy to be part of you. But let's change the theater. It needs it. There's this beautiful word by Bertolt Brecht where he goes saying, change the world, it needs it. And I'm saying, change theater, it needs it.
Change it to what?
into more entertaining, more rhythm, more truthful to life, more truthful to reality, more truthful to what you experience yourself. I'm not talking about all of it now, but I meet artistic directors and they want me to work for them, and then they make suggestions. They suggest plays. Oh my God, like, how can you suggest such a play? Where is the link? Where is the connection to what's going on outside? There's no connection. So yeah, there's a lot of actors in the play, and we want you to work with a lot of actors. So this is really important that you have a good relationship to your writers, to your world of people around you writing, and that you trust them and that you support them, because they are giving you the stories of today. And Shakespeare was, and don't forget, Shakespeare was a contemporary writer. He wasn't always a classic, you know? And at the time of Shakespeare, nobody was thinking about to do a play by somebody who is dead for 400 years. Nobody did this. And I think this is part of the, now I'm using a bad word, decadence of this culture, that we appreciate more the old canon than the contemporary writers. And this is only because we are subsidized, and there's a lot of fat in our institutions, and there's a lot of unhealthy things going on. And so there's a stupid idea of continuing to treat these dead writers. Yeah, and don't do it.
But
I need to take off my jacket.
the fact that yesterday and today we'll see production done by you based on a contemporary text with an author you have a personal relationship with. You said you have a triumvirate of friends in France. Can you talk about your collaboration with them?
Yeah, actually, that was a crucial moment. Actually, the only crucial moment in the last 10 years of my work was me meeting the writing of Didier Eribon. And that completely changed my life. Returning to Reims, this book, which I recommend highly to everybody, which is a book about upbringing in the working class as a gay man in a homophobic society. And his parents were workers, and that time when he grew up, his parents were voting for the Communist Party of France, and he himself was a young Trotskyist, and he had no connection between the parents and his communist beliefs. And so what he is talking about is how these communist voters now are voting for the Front National, for the extreme right. And he was talking about what is the responsibility in this with the leftist parties in Europe, what they did wrong for the last decades, which made the workers and the people in precariat vote for their enemies, because that's what they are, in fact. And so this book, when I finished, it made me feel like, okay, at least I'm not alone. I had the feeling of meeting in this book, meeting somebody where I can say, wow, this is exactly how I feel. This is exactly what my concerns are, what I don't understand, where I have questions, but also the analysis about the failure of the left, which created the misery. I could agree on this, but there was also about the upbringing, about his relationship to his father, about the violence at home, and also the question about it starts with him telling that he did not go to the funeral of his father because he couldn't, because he hated his father. And then during the book, at the end of the book, he says, I found out that actually my father was not the asshole I thought he was, but my father was also a victim of the violence of the social classes. And that also was for me a sentence which could help me to make peace with my father. I had a similar relationship. My father was already dead when I read this book, but it helped me a lot to understand my situation with my family, with my father. And he was talking also a lot about shame, about being ashamed of coming from a poor family, being ashamed that your parents have not the money to go on vacation in the summer, and being ashamed of carrying the clothes of my older brother because we didn't have the money to buy new clothes for me. And this I could connect. And Didier Eribon became a very close and very important friend. And Didier was the teacher, the professor of Edouard Louis, when Edouard was studying philosophy in Amiens. And Didier told Edouard to start writing. He knew about where Edouard comes from, his upbringing, the violence at home, the even poorer family he was from. Actually, you will hear it tonight in the show. He comes from a family of very poor people and criminals. He lost a lot of, his uncle died in prison at the age of 30, and his brother just recently died, the brother of Edouard, of alcoholism. And he comes from an incredible poor and struggling background. And so Didier heard all this and said, start writing about it. And so he promoted the career of Edouard. Edouard didn't even know that he's a writer. And he didn't even want to be a writer. But then it had an incredible impact when he did write his first book, Pour en finir avec Eddie Bellegueule, which is about his childhood. And so I wanted to work with him. I met Edouard for the first time at the premiere of Returning to Reims in Manchester for the Manchester International Festival. And we fell in love, if you want, immediately. And then I did History of Violence, but I also did a show.
Returning to Reims.
No, another one, which would be perfect for this theater, I'm thinking now. I did a show which is called Qui a tué mon père? Which is who
which
killed
Edouard plays in the main. It's
yes,
a monologue.
I was looking at this monologue and I thought, okay, who can do this? And then I was giving it even to the younger members of my company and said, look at it. Do you want to do it, or do you have an idea? So younger actors. Not a lot of feedback. And so I didn't know who can do this, and also I wanted it to be a gay actor to play this role. And at the end of the day, I thought, obvious. I asked Edouard himself, who was never on a stage, who had a little theater course in his school, but he never had a life as an actor. but he agreed, and he thought it's a beautiful idea. For the rest, I will talk to these guys. uh, and and he agreed to do this, and that was an incredible encounter, and it was a very successful show. And it's only him and a microphone and a wig. Very simple show. Why don't you invite it one day? No, I'm kidding. But it's a beautiful show, and for those who have the chance to see it, it's quite something to see himself talking about how he can forgive his father being homophobic, being violent, being stupid, being machistic, and he can forgive him at a certain moment, and that's very moving. I think also I'm the only person which was ever introduced to Edouard's father, because he thought I can deal with it because I have a similar background. So during the preparation of the show, we went and I met his father, and he has the same age like me.
And you talked about the personal catastrophe inside the family and bigger catastrophe of the class struggle that you talk about a lot in your interviews and also in your shows. Do you think that dealing with these two types of catastrophes in society is the most important mission that theater has, and also to entertain, as you said at the beginning? So it's a process of doing a show that's seductive for the audience and also tries to confront these issues, or is...
I think theater should have no mission, and because art is free, and I truly believe in it, and I truly believe in the fact that art should be free and should be without any mission, and I think this is political in itself. Dada is much more political than any shitty wannabe political show. To make nonsense at a high level and to not care about sense and meaning and to give a fuck and to show your middle finger to the bourgeoisie around to quote Talking Heads, stop making sense, is a political act in itself. So I would encourage everybody to do stupid, nonsense, shitty, but radical rock and roll shows. That is political. This is much more political than quoting this or that and raising your left arm and being part of the right thing or the real thing. And but this is what drives me. This is what drives me: class and poverty and exclusion. This drives me because I'm the person who I am. This concerns me. Last night when we went out to the club, I was all the time on my phone. And then came the actor and said, and looked on my phone, and oh no, because I was checking the whole night while the other were partying. You were there, I think, about the new elections in Bavaria and in Hessen, where the AfD, the populist extreme right, became the second biggest force, second biggest party. This is, I cannot party in a moment like this. And as I'm not drinking, I cannot even shoot my head off, which I would have loved to forget. That this is me, and I'm obsessed with news. I'm only reading news. Sometimes I read books, but most of the time I'm obsessed with news, and I'm obsessed with what's going on and where it all ends. And I think at the moment we are in a very miserable situation worldwide, and very scary times. And this is what I'm obsessed with. So this is what I'm talking about. At the same time, I think it's important to not lose your humor. It's the most important thing. So I believe in the power of comedy and of entertainment. And I just did a 3-penny opera in Paris, and my biggest concern was that when people from a poor background come to the show, that they are entertained. I didn't care if the cultural pages in the newspaper make this or that or that. The only thing I was concerned is I want to entertain these people living in this misery, because being false and pathetic doesn't help them at all. No? And and again, coming back to this, what I've been talking about in the beginning, about rhythm, about this. I'm always telling my actors, put the foot on the monitor box. Because this is when you do punk music. This is the moment when you go to the audience and then you put your foot. Here's no monitor box, unfortunately. So you would put it here because it's a moment of attack and a moment of proud and not giving a shit. And this is how I want to see actors perform. You know, attack. And not making false pauses.
Because we have in the audience a lot of students, acting students mostly, and actors. I see a lot of important Romanian actors here in the audience. What do you look for in an actor, and what do you consider a good performance or an actor who achieves a good collaboration with you?
Well, every actor is hopefully different than the other one. And this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the personality, which I never met before.
Do you cast actors in a complex casting process, or do you prefer watching them perform in other shows?
No, as I can't stand watching other shows, I prefer meeting them in a rehearsal room. And it can be quite a process. That can be pretty tough. Also, every time I go to the Comédie Française, I was there 3 times now. Every time I ask them again, we need to do auditions. Even though I know you, I want to meet you again. And also, it's a lot about constellations. So it's a lot about the chemistry between them. So I need to find out this in the rehearsal space. What kind of chemistry do they have, and is it a beautiful encounter between these actors? And this needs to be found out in a process which takes some time.
You were talking about the idea that theater doesn't have to have a mission, and you probably it's supposed to be a true expression of yourself, whatever yourself is. And I was interested in, what do you think about, you pride yourself for being one of the last major directors in international theater that still do dramatic theater. And I want to talk about this because it's very interesting, I think, for the audience.
Yeah, but that we can do very briefly. I think we all agree now here in this space, we all behave very nice, and we all pretend, or we are even civilized, polite, listening, very nice, and there's no danger of dropping this mask. But imagine now, let's say there's a nuclear attack outside, and we are all condemned to stay here in this place for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, and I'm the only one to have this bottle of water. And you also have one. And then starts the fight. And the masks will drop. And we will find out that there are some amongst us who will go saying, I need to have this bottle of water because I'm young and I have a future in front of me. And you, Thomas, you're 55, so forget about it. We don't need you anymore. And so on and so on. So there will be a conflict, there will be fight, there will be dialogue, but every dialogue which will happen will have an objective, and everybody has an incredible need, which is to survive, and you can't survive without water. And this is my view on theater. This is what I want to do, to put nice behaving, civilized people in dramatic circumstances so that they become a monster, or that they become another bottle, yeah, thank you, or that they become a pleaser, or that they become somebody who sacrifices himself or herself. The whole range is possible, but you will only find out what is possible inside of a human being in the moment of a dramatic situation. When you do this post-dramatic, yeah, I invite these artists even. So a lot of the very important post-dramatic artists like Angelica Lidl, like Rodrigo Garcia, like Romeo Castellucci, they all been to my theater. I admire their work because they are great artists. They're working in a complete different way than I do, which I cannot work in, but my way of wanting what I want to see on stage is what would happen if you were in the same situation. Please show me truthfully.
And effortlessly, I would add, because the main characteristic from my point of view about your performances, your shows, is that they effortlessly move from one scene to the other, following the dramatic conflict and the main points of the play. And yesterday was a perfect example of seamlessness. Do you strive for that?
Yeah, definitely. Because most of the time, I don't believe what I see on stage. I don't believe this false drama. I don't believe when people scream. I don't believe when they this average way of pretending to have an emotion, of pretending to be in, and this is global. This is global. This is all the same everywhere around the world. It's everywhere the same. When actors don't know what is their objective, when they don't have a feedback, this can be a partner, this can be a director, of, hey, come on, you're shouting now for 3 minutes. Do you really believe in a real situation, if you want to convince the person in front of you to not leave you, or that you did not betray her or him, do you really believe you would scream for 3 minutes in the face of your partner? I doubt it. I doubt it. So what I'm asking actors always is, listen carefully to the reality, to what's happening outside in real life. And when the going gets tough and when it gets really difficult, most of the time people lower their voice. And they go like, okay, I kill you when you leave me. They would not, yeah, maybe some of you would scream at this moment, I don't know. But this is a cliche of human behavior. And I hate this. I can't stand it. It's terrible. But the usual answer of an actor, actress at this moment is, yeah, but Thomas, we are in the theater and I have to project in the space and I have to be loud because people in the back needs to understand me. And then always I'm saying, yes, but there were just 2 technicians on stage which were discussing if they put the projector here or there. I understood every word. And when you were screaming, I didn't understand anything. Why? So, yeah, I could go on, but I don't want to. This is terrible. I love actors. First
I think
actors
you really
leaving.
do,
Okay,
because it
fine.
sees, you can see this in your shows, that you put actors in very good
I
situations.
really love
and stuff like that.
actors. I mean, my whole theater is about actors. You know, you were giving me a great compliment last night after the show when you said your show would also work without set, without anything,
And without the video and without anything.
video, without the microphone. And this is the biggest compliment I can get. I love actors. It's yeah.
Some of the actors that you work with have become international stars after working in your productions. The biggest for us here that we know is Lars Heidinger. He performed in Hamlet. He was your Hamlet, and also in Nora. Nora was your first show, the first show that came in on tour in Romania. It was the show that influenced me a lot. I always say, every time anybody asks me what was the most important show you saw in your life, I say your production of Nora. Can you tell us about these productions that toured in Romania, and about their impact in Romania and in other countries where you toured?
Well, about the impact, I can't, because this is you to tell me which impact it had, and you just did it. But I can tell you, when I was creating Hamlet, I thought this will be a terrible failure. I was so much in despair while doing Hamlet, and I thought, okay, well, let's get it done. Maybe we do 2 or 3 performances, and hopefully nobody sees it, and then we take it off the program fast.
Was it the pressure that you were going to premiere at Avignon?
No, the premiere was in Athens.
Okay.
Premiere was in Athens festival, and then we brought it to Avignon, and then to Berlin. I don't have this big problem with pressure like you have, Vlad.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff these past few days.
You go ahead. Tell it. No, please. No, just explain to people what happened the last days when we were talking about pressure.
Yeah, he said to all the time we should relax. I should relax, because I was very nervous about him coming here. Very excited about him coming here, and I want everything to go perfectly, and the show to go perfectly. And he told me not to smoke because I'll kill myself, and theater is not worth killing yourself for. So, okay, and.
No, I think, of course, I'm a bit coquette here when I say I don't feel any pressure. And I think really it's very important, everything which I'm addressing, which I just been addressing, like screaming of actors. I think actors are forced to scream by directors full of fear. They are not screaming because they like screaming. They are screaming because there's a director full of fear that there's no energy, no drama happening. So unexperienced directors force act. You know? And they start to scream. And so there's a connection to directors. And in order to go there where I want my actors to be, or my theater, I need to relax myself. I need, so if I am in the rehearsal room full of fear and full of pressure, you will read it in the show. You will see it later on stage. So I'm saying this already for 15 years now. The only project I'm having connected to my work in theater is to work on myself. Because theater is easy for me. I can do it like this, no problem. But being calm and nice is a challenge. And so I'm only working on this, only working on this. Yoga, meditation, diet, trying to have a work-life balance. You know, you've watched it. You know, I'm not partying with my actors. I mean, I go out with them, but I'm not drinking. I'm working on myself constantly to help my actors, because the best thing is to have a director which is funny and nice and happy and entertaining and laughing, and this you are responsible for the atmosphere in the rehearsal room. So you are creating it, and if you don't feel well as a director, you can't create a nice atmosphere in the space. Well, what was the question?
I forgot it also. So, before we take questions from you, um, you wrote a book, and do you plan on continuing this project of writing books? And because you feel that you have something to communicate to us in writing?
No, but these books are not important. That is just.
But the only connection beside these type of talks and your interviews that we can find online, the books are the only connection.
Well,
that we
I
can
have to admit, there's one book, and I'm always wondering why my students, because I'm half-time professor for directing, why they don't read just these 20 pages, and then they would be perfect students, you know. So I tell you, this book, I I'm even a bit regretting that I published this, because this is a perfect cookbook. Perfect. If you read this, it's very concrete. It shows all the exercises I'm doing. It shows everything, how I'm analyzing a scene, a writer. I give even description of different genres and different eras. So I think you should approach the Greeks in a different way than Elizabethan theater, than naturalist theater, end of 19th century. So 20th century actually. So this book is called, and you can buy it outside. No. Why? I never bring it with me. I'm so stupid. I should have. I'm so stupid. I always forget to bring this book. I could have sold 100 copies tonight, no? We agree. Very expensive book, I have to admit. I'm sorry. It's 80 pounds, English pounds. It's in English. It's now we make a short break
again.
for the promotion. This is the promotion now. It's in English. It's in the editing house Routledge in the UK, and it is what I just described. So I regret for opening my book of miracles and to show how I'm working. And if you want to have a look, and but there's one beautiful saying by Meyerhold, the Russian teacher, which is, the best students are betraying their masters. So keep this in mind while reading the book.
And with that, let's come to you. Does anybody have any questions? In the back, do you have a microphone ready? I think we don't, yeah. So, you're a student actor or something?
I'm a student director.
Okay. What's your name?
Tudor,
Okay, Tudor. What's the question?
what advice would you give to a 20, 25-year-old version of yourself?
And do what you believe in. And this is important because I didn't have it. Find yourself a mentor. I did a lot of mistakes in my career, and every time looking back, I think, okay, if I had a good mentor, he would have saved me in these moments. So find yourself a mentor. It's really important. Like ask Vlad.
Okay, another question?
What's the name of the book?
Very complicated. It's called The Theater of Thomas Ostermeier.
There was a question at the balcony.
What was it like to work with non-fiction as opposed to working with a web of fiction? And more than that, what was it like to work with a true story of somebody that you know and that you hold dear?
Yeah. We had a lot of discussion about this because this is a story about rape. This is a story about very intimate violence. And of course, we were affected by this discourse of, can we portray this? Can we reenact this act of violence if we are not in the sense of 100% representatives of this group of people or of this destiny? And Edouard was with us and in the rehearsal room, and he was following these discussions, and he said, please, for me, who has suffered this event and is still traumatized by this event, you are taking the burden off my shoulders when you tell the story. So please do it for me, because I feel relieved when somebody else is telling my story, and it helps me to overcome what I experienced.
Thank you.
Another question?
I was talking too much because it's
Yes.
always a bad sign when there are no more questions.
We are timid people.
Hello, Palmesan. My name is Miroslava. I'm coming from Mexico. And I would like to ask you, when you gave an example about the post-dramatic theater, you talked about Angelica Lieder and you talked about Rodrigo. Okay, they are both they both speak Spanish, and I would like to ask you. Well, they have this point of view from another experience, which is not, let's say, European experience with theater. Okay. So I would like to ask you, because you were saying that dramatic theater would show like the core of life, okay? So I would like to ask you, how do you think post-dramatic theater can express our reality? And I'm thinking about, for example, what we are calling expansive theatricalities in Mexico, where we are not representing theater in the theater, but we are gaming with the real. I'm talking about narcotráfico, and I'm talking about the women that have been murdered in the north. And I think that kind of theater is touching reality.
Yeah. I was mentioning that I invited these artists not only one time. Angelica did at least 5 shows in our theater, and we were co-producing her We were supporting her during pandemic because she has no institution. And Rodrigo Garcia, the same. And we had a great artist from Mexico in the festival, and I forgot his name. It's such a shame. He was working in one of the sweatshops in the north of Mexico, and anonymously the whole day, and then making a show out of it, what he experienced there. And it was one of the most important shows I saw. What? Yeah, possible. It'll come back to me in a second. So I think what is really important here is, again, not to judge and to say this is the right kind of theater, this is the wrong kind of theater. I have no judgment there. And as I said in the beginning, doing complete nonsense can be very political. And I have big admiration for people who go out in the street and do this immediate theater, probably in the legacy of Augusto Boal. So it's great. But what I know is that when it comes to this kind of theater, it's even more important the personality of the performers. So there are incredible personalities like Angelica Lidl, and when she does it on stage herself, I go like, this is the best I've ever seen in my whole life. But it's because of her. I can hardly imagine somebody else taking her texts and doing what she does on stage. So it's just completely connected to herself. So it touches, of course, performance art, where the performer and the event is more important than the representation. And so this is what I would answer here. Yeah, but then you have to be even more tough to do this way of performance art.
Another question?
I have a question. I don't know if it's seen or not, but as with wait, I'm trying to ask, do you think you're gonna be more plays about what the woman said? Because I don't know your name, I'm sorry, but I also have Mexican, and that's why I'm asking. Do you think there's gonna be more plays based on what she said, like the whole reality of Mexico?
A bit louder, please.
Do you think there's gonna be more plays about the topic she said, like the reality of Mexico? And all that kind of stuff.
Well, up to you. Write a play.
I mean, I would.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I was so lucky to meet Sarah Kane when she was still alive, and I commissioned a play to her even, but we all know what she did. And in a similar event, I had Sarah Kane on stage in a panel discussion, and everybody was saying, "Oh, Sarah Kane, and oh, how can we do your plays? And we admire you so much." And it's so. And the only thing, she was actually a wonderful person. The only thing she said on the panel was, "Why are we talking constantly about me? I want you to write your plays, and I want you to find your contemporary writers like me in your society, in your country, and don't always look on the other big theater generations like me or what you consider important or big. Go out and do it yourself." Can you come here in the light? Because people can't see you, and I can't see you, and so this is.
Oh, big things. So I'm gonna come to the show. I'm gonna go to the show, and I was very curious about what's your obsession. So I think every director has an obsession with something, because you mentioned music, you mentioned set design, and I'm curious, like, what is your obsession?
No, but I also said that I'm obsessed with news and politics.
And but show, like, what am I looking to see? What's the thing you're?
Ah, the point of the whole show.
No.
Yeah.
So that's the obsession. So
No,
the little thing, the signature, the.
I hope you can tell me after the show.
Okay.
I don't have any answer on this.
But do you feel that there is something driving you in an extreme?
Definitely. Definitely. This is my demon, which I'm not going to share with you.
Okay, and thank you.
Thank you.
I will be very careful to see it.
Yes?
Hello. I would like to ask you about your choice in your representation of Nora by Ibsen. I know that in the end you chose her to shot Torvald, and I'm really curious about the reason behind it.
So what's your name?
Yeah.
Bianca asked what was the reason behind Thomas's decision for at the end of his show, Nora shoots Torvalds.
Maybe not the basic question, but I would.
No, I was because you said it so not so
happy,
loud.
I'm
I said it on the
happy.
microphone.
I'm happy to answer to this question, and I'm quite amazed by the fact that people are still putting this question to me, because the show is 21 years ago. At the time, I was, and I am still, but it was different times, very much concerned about gender equality, and nowadays it became a much broader discourse and much more discussed. At the time, it wasn't so much. And the play, Nora, has a history that when Ibsen wrote it, before it was presented in Germany, the German directors asked him to change the ending of the play, because they said, we cannot perform a play where a mother leaves the house and leaves the children behind. Our audience cannot take this. This one part of the story. So Ibsen changed the ending, German version ending, in 1800 something. And the second thing is that this play was at the time so much discussed in Copenhagen and in Denmark that there were, when a bourgeois household had a reception or an invitation, dinner invitation, they were writing with handwriting over the door before they entered. In this household, it's forbidden to discuss Nora by Henrik Ibsen, because it created so much dissent, this play. And it's like discussing today about conspiracy theory or I don't know what. And I was very much inspired by this, that this play had this reaction in the audience. So I was discussing with my actors, and especially with Anne Tisma playing Nora, this question. And then we had several different endings, which we tried out during the previews before the premiere. And Anne, I was about to say Nora, but it was Anne, the actress, she wanted to kill the children. So she suggested, why doesn't she kill the children before leaving? And I said, well, okay, let's try it. And we did not do this, but we did the other ending in order to create a shocking ending, which then makes the audience discuss. I'm not promoting the idea of killing your husband. I'm doing this on stage so that you don't have to do it in real life. Yeah. And there's another, and then we finish maybe. Then I will tell a last anecdote if you don't mind. Is it okay, the answer to your question? Yeah? There's another question? No. If you ask another question, I will not tell the anecdote. You choose. You go fast.
What really makes me and the actors that you work with is that they seem here, that they almost seem like wild animals on stage, and I myself find it very timid, and I'm full of fear to the point that I always wonder if I should be doing this, if I should be doing this job.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, thank you. I got the question. Yes, fear is part of making theater. Fear is always in the rehearsal room. And the quality of a director and of a team working together is how they deal with this fear. And that's why I was sharing that I'm working myself a lot on this. Because in order to provide a space where there's less fear, I, as a person, need to have less fear. And so when you say this fearless impression of my actors, with a beautiful compliment, talk to them, it's not true. But what I'm doing in the rehearsal space is to provide them with so many details, chain of action. This is the right choice. We've been trying this, and we found out this is a beautiful choice. So they are 100% safe and secure about what they are doing. They know at every moment what they are doing. And I think when you start to get more fear when you don't know what you do on stage. And when you have the feeling, okay, in order to be this show successful, I need to make an effort during this evening. And you can't rescue the show when the rest around you is shit. So please don't work with shitty directors. No, no. Let yourself be inspired by musicians again. You know, musicians, they are with their, let's say, a piano sonata. It is about deep and profound emotions, about tragedy and drama. But the moment the piano player plays, it's not experiencing this. He's not. I have never seen a piano player. They are telling. They are messengers. This is, you know, you are. I can become pathetic now. So you are the messenger for a bigger, of a bigger thing. And it's about that you transmit this message, and yeah, we can talk. But now the anecdote, and then we stop. I forgot the anecdote. It was about Nora, no?
Yeah, we were talking about Nora, and then the ending. I don't know.
I forgot.
Tell a joke.
Oh God, I have to come back. I have to come back.
Next year, probably,
next
and you'll
year
tell
I
us
will
the anecdote.
remember the name of the
Yeah.
Mexican writer and
Yeah.
actor, performer. And what? Yeah, I'm getting old. Yeah.
Tell us at the end now. Tell us, please, what are you preparing now? What are you working now?
Oh.
And that's the end. To make an ending, if you forgot the anecdote, we have to do an ending.
I'm preparing a show by Maya Zade, a playwright, female playwright I'm working with for 25 years now. She was for 22 years a dramaturg, and she didn't tell anybody that she's writing plays. And then she found an editing house, and then I asked her if I can read the plays, and then she said, yes, you have to ask the editing house. So, and I admire her a lot, and her biggest quality is that she's listening incredibly to nowadays conversations and nowadays behavior of people, how they communicate, and then this is a most important quality of a playwright writing dialogues, and this play is called Change, and that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much for doing this. Thank you very much for everything.